Oh yeah, get it all out now, Peyton.
I know, right?
Because we are live, baby.
Oh, there you go. That's what I like to hear. That should be my slogan. There you go. I say that a lot.
We got to come up with some type of catchphrases. We'll get there.
Yeah,
We'll get there.
it'll come. Another good song. Another little,
you know,
what do you call it?
tune.
Yeah, tune, intro tune.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Something just to welcome the people into the show. You know how it goes.
yeah,
Come on in, people.
yes.
We got 1 minute, 60 seconds. The countdown is on.
Oh yeah,
And we back, baby. I'm
yeah.
happy. I'm happy.
Me too, man.
Yeah.
Been too long.
Been way too long.
Yeah. Do it.
Yes, sir.
Hey, are those new, by the way?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. I just barely wear them, to be honest with
Those are cool.
you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Now I have a reason to dress up. You know.
Yeah.
Come on in. Welcome to the show, guys.
Welcome in.
The Weekend Hangover. I hope y'all had a good weekend.
Oh yeah.
Let's do it.
Yes, sir.
I'm back with my guy Peyton here. Peyton, it's the weekend. It's the weekend hangover, man.
Yeah.
How you feeling?
Hungover.
I hope
How-
off of the sports.
Yeah.
Off of the sports for sure.
Yeah, and some of these bottles. Right?
Yeah. It was a really good weekend, man.
Yeah.
So like I said before, it's the weekend hangover, helping sportaholics like us recover from a wild weekend in college football and the NFL. Yeah. So I hope you guys had a good weekend. I hope everybody had the opportunity to make some money. For myself, I wasn't one of those fortunate people. Peyton, did you have an opportunity to make some cash this weekend?
I did, but we'll get to the weekend wagers later in the show. How are you feeling right now, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Today, I'm just really ready to get into the show because last week we didn't have the opportunity to put out a show. But you know, you live, you learn. Life be lifing sometimes, so I'm just happy to be back and ready to chop up some ball with you, man.
Absolutely. Well said. Life be lifing sometimes.
Yeah.
But the good news is we're back and we're ready to go. As you guys can see, we got our notes. So.
Yeah. So we're talking mostly football on today's show. Gonna recap some of the madness and the wildness that went down in college football and the best and the worst of the NFL. So before we get into that, man, I just want to say thoughts and prayers go out to everybody who's recovering from Hurricane Milton. This is one of the main reasons why we didn't have a show last week. So safety was a little bit more important. And thank you for all your support and understanding for everything that we had to go through for this past week. But with that being said, Peyton, we back like we never left, baby.
Yes, sir.
Let's get this show on the road. First things first, Peyton, I got some bar trivia for you.
All right.
Are you ready?
I think so, but we're about to find out if I'm actually ready.
We're really about to find out if Peyton's the expert like he says he is.
Oh, geez. Okay.
All right. I gave him that title, by the way. I gave him that
Yeah,
title.
that's true. That was all you.
All right.
Yeah.
So let's jump into it, Peyton. All right, here we go. What year was the college football playoffs introduced?
2014.
Hey, listen. Peyton was looking at my notes.
Oh, okay. No.
Peyton looked at my notes. I know he did.
If you guys knew the way Russ does how big of a college football enthusiast I am, you would know that I didn't have to look at your notes. That's like my heart.
Yeah. No, I believe you 100% that you knew exactly what the answer was. But that is correct, Peyton. 2014.
Good deal.
The college football playoffs was introduced, and as most of you guys know, but for those who don't know, for the first decade, it was only 4 teams.
Yep.
All right, and it was 2 semifinal games and a national championship game.
Yeah.
And this year is the first year that they moved up to 12 teams.
Right.
So we're going to get into that a little bit more. But we're going to move into our first segment of the day, barroom brawling. All right. I call it that because in the movies, in the movies, you see most of the college students fighting in the bar. Yeah. So I thought it was only fitting that we name something based off of college fights. All right. So
hey, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. He hit me on the head with that one. I didn't see that coming. The segment name.
Yeah.
I didn't know we were going into that. So I like that. I like that name.
Yeah, man. So let's talk some college ball. A lot of craziness went down, but I think the major story coming out of college football, aside from the final scores and everything like that, but the major thing coming out of college football is what happened in Eugene, Oregon. All right. The unthinkable happened. When Dan Lanning decided to sneak an extra player on the field in the last 10 seconds of the game. How innovative is this guy?
Man, I really didn't know what to make of this when I saw it live.
Yeah.
I hope the integrity of the game was not broken here. I don't know if that was the case or not. I don't know if this was done on purpose or not. What say you? Because I have some more to say, but I want to see what you think.
Listen, I think this guy is a trendsetter. The main thing here is he was aware of the rules, and it granted him the opportunity to seal the deal late in the game. I would definitely, any day of the week, I would definitely sacrifice 5 yards and time off the clock rather than giving them the opportunity to create more chances to win the game, you know? So they were up 1, and that's exactly what happened there, man. I think it was a great idea and way to find a gray area and win you the game.
Yeah, there's that fine line between abusing the rule but also maintaining integrity of the game.
Yeah.
I'm one of the guys that likes to try to maintain integrity of the game. So I was a bit upset with it, to be honest with you.
So, all right. So
if it was done on purpose, which it probably was.
It definitely was done on purpose. Now, here's the thing. If you hold a player, is it holding if they don't call it? Right? So the answer is no, it's not holding. They didn't call it, so it don't matter if I was holding you or not. If the ref don't call it, it don't matter, right? But in this instance, there's nothing you can do. The time didn't go back on the clock. They gave them the 5 yards. So everything with the integrity of the game was really still intact, if you ask me.
And like you said, do you see this becoming a trend? Because that would be a bit of an ugly look, in my opinion, if this starts to happen in other games.
All right. So when the offense is up at the end of the game, what do they usually do when they're winning?
Try to run the clock.
They run the clock. Yeah. But within the last few seconds of the game, what do?
Kneel the ball.
They kneel the ball.
Right.
Why don't they run a play? They're trying to end the game, right? So this can be and will be if they, and I hope they never change this rule, but this is the defensive version of kneeling the ball. You sacrifice a little to gain a lot. If you're up and the team has to, listen, I would put 15 people out there, to be honest with you. I don't care.
I did see a comment that was saying the same thing. Why not? Just to make sure they don't.
Hey, everybody on the field. Everybody on the field.
Right.
What can they do about it?
Man.
You know,
I'm going to go the other way here, man. I hope I see a rule change. For some reason, to me, there is a distinct difference between having the lead and kneeling the ball and then trying to tie the game or take the lead late in the game, and the defense doesn't get a legit penalty for having 12 men on the field. So
a legit penalty. Okay, so they can change the penalty, like I guess the yardage or whatever the case may be, but I don't think that stops anything.
Because the other thing I was going to say is there are cases and times where time is put back on the clock for some penalties.
So untimed downs, that is a major thing, but time has to expire, and if a penalty happens, then you get a untimed down. Yeah, you get another chance. But with the clock running, I've never seen them put time back on the clock unless the referees made a mistake on the field. If the refs made a mistake on the field, then that's a different story, and then they will add that time back on the clock, reset the game clock to so and so time. That happens, but I thought this was great. My only question out of this whole thing is, how in the existence of football is this the first time that we've seen this happen? This is the first time that I've ever seen this happen.
Yeah.
Nobody ever thought of this before. That was so creative, and big ups to him, Dan Lanning, for understanding exactly what he needed to do if he did it on purpose.
Yeah. Which most likely, but it's still an if.
Yeah.
It's still an if.
So before we move on to the next topic,
sure.
Actually, I just want to go ahead and say this right now. Guys, if you're not already, please make sure you follow the page, follow us on Instagram, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you smash that like button. It helps us grow as a brand. We're really trying to get this out here. We're looking forward to moving into the next sports, which is basketball and everything that happens after that. And we're going to continue to talk football as well, but we want to just really chop it up with you guys and make sure that you're involved in the conversation. So please leave a comment down below if you guys think that Dan Lanning put that 12-man out there on the field.
And if you think it's right or wrong.
Should they change the rules? I mean, there's so many questions. So you guys, please make sure you leave us a comment and let us know exactly what you think about what they did out there in Oregon. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
All right. So moving right along, man. Yeah. Alabama struggled yet again against another unranked opponent.
Yeah.
Do you think they're properly ranked?
So right now they're number 7.
Yes, they haven't moved.
You know what? I would say at the moment they actually are properly ranked.
Okay.
Because to be honest, I don't know who's behind them that even you would put in front of them. Because I'm pretty sure LSU's at 8. Iowa State is at 9.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't have – I need to look at their schedule, but they don't have a huge convincing win yet. It's not like they've beaten a top 10 or 15 team.
Right.
Clemson's at 10. I think – what's going on at Alabama is just an example of what's going on in the sport of college football right now to a larger degree.
Yeah.
And that there really is just more parity because of the transfer portal and the NIL era and things of that nature. And I know those are two buzzwords that are cliche at this point, but it's really just the truth.
Yeah. I just really, and I'm going to go back to this. I've said this before on the show, but I think there's just a lot of favoritism with Alabama. Like, you can't lose to Vandy. You can't struggle against USF. You definitely can't struggle against USF. The final score did not dictate exactly how that game went against USF, but you can't. They struggled, okay? And USF for the majority of that game was in it. You cannot struggle against an unranked South Carolina. Granted that is a good team, but you cannot struggle against them if you are the highly favored Alabama.
Yeah.
So with that being said, you might not be willing to say that there's nobody behind them that you would be willing to put in front of them.
Right.
But I think off of what we call in Black people's term, off GP,
okay,
all right, that you have to do that. Off of principle, you have to do that, right? You have to move them down, and you can't sit them right there and let them hover, because if you really think about it, the Georgia game is what's keeping them up there higher in the rankings, but they almost lost that game as well. If it wasn't for a circus catch by Ryan Williams and amazing tap dancing, I don't know what you want to call that spin move in that Georgia game.
Amazing.
They would have lost that game.
Right.
You know, if that kid didn't if he ain't carry the boats, if he ain't load them up and carry those boats, that game was over. Right. And I think Georgia, honestly, they celebrated a little bit too soon in that game and they kind of lost focus. But that's another story for another day. But with that being said, man, I think off principle, Alabama needs to come down just as notch. At least one spot.
Okay.
8, if they would have dropped to 8, I would have been satisfied.
All right.
I would have been satisfied. You know, I'm not saying that they needed to be out the top 10, but I am saying that to not move,
Yeah. And as crazy as that sounds, even though we're going into week 8 of the college football season, in a lot of ways, obviously there's more football left, but there are still some unknowns out there.
Yeah.
Like we have the big game with Georgia, Texas this weekend. That's going to tell us a lot. Alabama, Tennessee, that's a bit of a mini playoff game, if you will, as each of them have one loss.
Yeah.
That's going to tell us a lot. So even though we're this far into the season, man, there's still some questions left to be answered, which is very exciting for college football fans.
And I don't want to get too long-winded on this.
Sure.
But I think that the transfer portal has played a major factor in where we are right now in the landscape of college football. And I may sound like a broken record, but by all means, like it's showing. You know what I mean? Like there are powerhouse teams out there that are losing games. Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, they're losing games. I mean, Tennessee, they were pretty strong last year, but you know, like in the past couple of years, they haven't had really
they had a great season in 2022, fell off a little bit last year, but I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean? So with that being said, I think that the teams who have been together for a while are shining through and showing what it means to build camaraderie as a team. And I think some of those teams later in the season will show their worth.
Yeah. For example, like in Iowa State, that's always a veteran-laden team.
Yes.
You know, and they're undefeated in the top 10 now.
Yeah.
So it's a great point.
All right. I didn't want to get too long-winded in that. That's another conversation for another day. Yeah. But all right, so Peyton, we are at the midpoint of the season. Let's go ahead and talk Heisman.
Ooh,
all right. Okay. So right now at the midpoint, who are the top 3 front runners for the Heisman Trophy in your eyes?
So 2 of the guys I have in this top 3 have already had plenty of Heisman-worthy moments. The last guy I have hasn't had that Heisman-worthy moment yet, but I could see him having it, and he's in position to win it because of his team's record.
Okay.
So the 2 guys I got first, obviously Cam Ward and Ashton Jeanty from Boise State. Okay, Cam Ward, we've seen the spectacular, especially in clutch time.
Yeah.
You know, against Virginia Tech, against Cal. He's getting it done when his team needs him to get it done, and he does it in spectacular fashion. It's hard to find a comp for him when I think about quarterbacks. So that's one. And then Ashton Jeanty, he's kind of running the internet right now. You know, everybody likes all of his stuff. He's very fun to watch. And Boise State is 5-1, and they're in the top 25.
Beast Mode Jr. That boy out there running for his life.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so who you got at number 3?
Avery Johnson for Kansas State.
Wow.
So just mainly because Kansas State is 5-1, and I see the potential for him to have some Heisman moments with his play style.
Okay.
Because he's the kind of guy that can go off script, run around, extend the play to 8, 9, 10 seconds, and then make something happen. And he's just an electric, exciting athlete to watch as it is.
Yeah.
So those would be my 3 right now. It's kind of a surprising list. I mean, 2 of them are outside of the top 10 when it comes to their team's ranking in the AP poll. So what say you? What do you think about that list?
I got a player who's not even ranked
on
my list. All right. So my criteria, these players, they not only have a major impact on their team, but they're also innovating the game with their play style. Right. So I'm going with Travis Hunter. And me and you also agree on the last 2, Ashton Jeanty and Cam Ward.
Fair. But great point with Travis Hunter.
For me, it's in that order.
Okay.
Now, nobody can deny what Cam Ward is doing at the University of Miami. 2 back-to-back games where they had to come back from, you know, deficits and major deficits at that. We're not talking about a 3-point game.
No.
We're talking about double-digit trailing in
both
the game.
Instances.
Yes.
Yeah.
So nobody can deny what Cam Ward is doing in Miami. Ashton Jeanty at Boise State. This kid, he's just like super talented. You know what I mean? The vision is there. And the man is in shape. Like to run for 200 yards in the game is just ridiculous. Like
He seemingly does it every week.
I run a 50-yard dash, 40-yard dash. I'm winded. Give me 3 minutes, you know. So to be able to run like that every game, that really means a lot. And he's doing it with grace. Yeah. Now I put Travis Hunter as my front runner for the Heisman Trophy because there's nobody in the game doing what he's doing. Right? So I think had they won the game against Kansas State, they would have he would have solidified his place as the front runner. But because they don't have that key win on their belt right now, I think it's a bit of a toss-up between all three of these guys. Boise State, it's going to be hard to get the trophy in Boise State, especially if Miami goes on to make the playoffs and do something serious in the playoffs.
I love that you brought up Hunter's name because a big reason I went with Avery Johnson is because Kansas State won that game. So my list is kind of projecting towards who I think will be there in the end. Yeah. And a lot of that usually has to do with the win-loss record. Yeah. But I would love to see Hunter win it, even if Colorado was 8-4, 9-3, just to break the mold there.
You have to acknowledge him. Like you cannot bypass what he's doing.
Yeah.
You know, and you can't act like you don't see it.
Talk about being in shape.
Oh, yeah. This man is playing 120 snaps per game.
Yeah.
Right. So, but with that being said, those are our top Heisman candidates. Let's talk some NFL, man.
Well, I was about to say I got one more little thing for college, and then we'll wrap up.
Let's do it. Let me hear it.
Yeah, man. Can we all just admit that the 12-team playoff era, which starts this year, is already such a win for college football?
It is.
Okay, because viewership is as high as it's been in some time. And let me just ask you, Russ, you watch games over the weekend.
Yep.
Did any of those games like Oregon, Ohio State, South Carolina, Alabama, did any of those games feel less urgent to you?
No.
Like the teams were fighting hard like it was a playoff game.
Every game seems important.
And Ohio State, Oregon, you can make the case that the loser has a great chance at still making the playoff. Yeah. And we still got great efforts out of both of those teams. So plus the other thing is we're already past week 7 going into week 8. At this point, you'd be halfway through the season. There wouldn't be much football left. Now we're going to get to the end of the season and you have a whole 12-team playoff field to look forward to. This is easily a win for college football. Yeah. The games haven't lost urgency and there's more ball to be played at the end.
I love it, bro.
Yeah.
I love where we are right now. What I will say to that little rant right there is they didn't do it on purpose, but the NCAA kind of shot themselves in the foot, but made it an even landscape all across the board.
Yeah.
And they gave other schools more of a chance. They, while dictating to the players and what they actually wanted, NIL, to be able to transfer whenever you wanted to, that opened the doors for other teams, other schools to have an opportunity and not the same school sitting at the top. At the beginning of the season, this is all that I really wanted. And I'm getting it. And I'm loving every minute of it. So I'm really happy exact where we are right now. And
there's a lot of ball left.
And I'm not even gonna say what I'm thinking.
We'll get there.
I don't want to jinx it.
I know what he's thinking. We'll get there.
I don't want to jinx it. So by all means. All right. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So let's go ahead and move on to another section that we are now introducing, man. As we grow in this show, it's gonna change so much, but the conversation is gonna be so genuine, and that's the one thing that I really love about what we got going on right here, man. So with the next segment, we're gonna call it Bottom Shelf Banter. All right, this is the segment where we talk about some of the worst teams in the NFL. All right, it doesn't necessarily have to be the NFL, but this week we're actually choosing the NFL. So let's go ahead and jump into it. For Bottom Shelf Banter, I'll go ahead and start, Peyton. I'm choosing the lowly Cowboys of Dallas. All right. Not so happy birthday to Jerry Jones. Listen, I think he needs to step down because this stress can't be good for his health. All right. No Micah. CeeDee Lamb looks frustrated. Dak was ready to leave the game in the third quarter and go to the locker room. I don't know where this team improves, to be honest with you. I really don't. They got a mediocre run game, mediocre defense. All signs point to lower level mediocre, middle of the pack for this team.
I love that you picked them because their record wouldn't suggest that they're a bad team, but right now they kind of are a bad team.
Right. I think me and you talked about this off camera, but I hate the fact that they beat the Steelers.
Right.
Like that's one win that the Steelers deserve because they don't need to have Dallas on their record in the loss column.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, with how terrible they looked.
No, but
this past Sunday.
To your point, that was an embarrassing effort. It was pretty much unwatchable by the time the end of the second quarter rolled around. Like the 2-minute warning,
right?
We stopped watching it.
It was on, but we were not paying attention to it at all.
Yeah.
At all.
And it's really a common theme here. You know, I was going to say they beat up on the bad teams. They slide by against the bad teams and then get exposed by the good teams.
Mm-hmm.
They had the close win against the Giants, who are not a great team. Close win against the Steelers, who are probably a good team. But
right there in that middle of the pack.
Still finding themselves with a relatively young quarterback. And then the Lions just housed them. So good call by you right there.
Yeah. All right. So before I move away from the Cowboys, I just got one question.
Yeah.
Who gonna take the contract off of JJ's hands? Because the return on investment, the ROI right now is looking like a Ponzi scheme. So by all means, if anybody's willing to take this contract away from Jerry Jones, who would it be? You don't have to answer that.
Yeah,
it's rhetorical. But by all means,
I hear you.
That question's out there floating. I mean, he has to be thinking about it.
Yeah.
He has to be thinking about it. He probably pulled up on Dak after the game and was like, you know how he didn't even roll the window all the way down. He just rolled it just enough so he could see his eyes. Didn't say anything and just looked at him like and drove off.
No words needed to be said.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
All right, I'll get to my bottom shelf banter, man. They have not played yet this week, but I'm going back to their game from last week against the Vikings overseas. What about the Jets, man? That loss was ugly.
Okay.
And I know I end up talking about this team a lot, but they are a marquee team this year.
They're relevant.
They're relevant. That's for sure.
Yep.
And I'll be honest, I was really disappointed in my guy, Aaron Rodgers. Not only his performance, but also the body language, man. Yeah. I mean, after he threw those couple of interceptions in the first half, he looked a little disinterested, looked disheartened. So I think he needs to improve his body language first and foremost, and then be a better leader for that team. Because as we pointed out when we started this thing, man, I said that this was going to be a tough lift for him, and that if he makes this work, it's really on him. And now that Salah's out of there, he really is the leader of that team to me.
Yeah.
So he's got to do a better job of doing that. And, Bill Belichick, real quick, I'll let you go, but Bill Belichick used to say, in the NFL, more games are lost than they are won. That's the other thing. The Jets lost this game more than the Vikings won it. I know we're going back a week, but what are you laughing about, man? I'll let you go.
Hey, man, I'm just laughing. R.I.P. Robert Saleh, man. Listen, I don't want to laugh at his pain, but he kind of had to know that this was coming, right? Ooh. After what they went through last year, not coming out of the blocks with a fast start this year, and basically not having any room for excuses, he kind of had to expect this. And I think I said this on the show, but every week you can see in this man's face, like, he's hurting. Like, he doesn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And especially when you have a quarterback, very boisterous quarterback like Aaron Rodgers on your team, terrible body language. They're gonna pick Aaron Rodgers every day over the head coach. You know, and this is not the first instance that this has happened. You know what I mean? He voices opinion about
Cadence?
No, the coach in Green Bay.
Oh, Matt LaFleur?
LaFleur.
Yeah.
He voices opinion about Matt LaFleur. He showing signs of not trusting Robert Saleh. So, like, right now, the ownership had no option but to get rid of him. Like, right now, I don't care who their interim head coach is, but Aaron Rodgers is the head coach of the offense.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
That's a great point.
It sucks to be in Robert Saleh's seat, but I saw this coming. I saw this coming 100%. So yeah, man.
There's not much else to say about the Jets. I wouldn't say the season is on the line tonight, but this is certainly a big game for them as they play the division-leading Bills.
Yeah.
And if they lose this game, they'll be looking at third place in the division already. So, yep.
Man.
Yeah, man.
I don't even want to talk about the AFC East, but I'll talk about the Jets. But
yeah.
I don't like them to beat the Bills. Mm-hmm. But with the Bills are so Jekyll and Hyde. It makes no sense.
Right.
It makes no sense. Like, no telling. I mean, the Jets might come out and smoke them boys. Like, you never know. Like, on paper, you would think that actually on paper is pretty even. But but you never know which team you're going to get with both of these teams, actually. Like, they have, if you think about the receiving core in New York, they should have like top passing offense. Like, you got Lazard, you got Wilson, you got Hall coming out the backfield. Mike Williams. I mean, he's a little up there. But with that being said, like, come on, bro. Like, there's no reason for excuse. Like, if anything, the Bills have all the excuses. They really have nobody.
Right.
Like, you got Matt Collins out there dropping balls left and right. Shakur, whatever his name is, like, he's out there unreliable. Like, so by all means, like,
it'll be fun to watch tonight. We'll see what happens.
Sure.
No, I really think so. I think so. It should be a fun battle.
We love ball, so no matter what's happening, like, as long as we're getting competitive football, then that's all that really matters.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go ahead and move on to our next segment, man.
Yep.
Weekend wagers.
Yes, sir.
I got a bad bet.
Yep.
I got a bad bet.
Okay.
Joe Burrow, man.
Oh.
All right. Joe Burrow this season has yet to crack 10 yards rushing on the ground. Oh. He has yet to crack 10 yards rushing on the ground.
Yeah.
So guess what I did? I went ahead and I bet the under at 8.5 on Joe Burrow's rushing yards. I thought it was a lock.
And he broke it in the first quarter.
First drive.
Was it the first drive?
First drive.
Man.
I'm talking about I was out of there. And I was so hurt.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know he had wheels like that, first of all, because this is a quarterback who never really breaks the pocket.
Yeah.
I mean, he does scramble, but he's always looking to pass, and I don't think of him as a running threat. But when I put my money on you, Joe Burrow, you want to be Lamar Jackson? This don't make no sense, bro. This really don't make no sense. JB, you gotta chill. You gotta chill, bro.
Yeah,
gotta chill.
He did that for the team. They needed a win last night, but it is what it is. For my weekend wagers, wasn't a great weekend in terms of the amount of bets I placed, because I'll just put it to you this way. I placed 5 bets.
Yeah.
Luckily, the one bet that I won, I put the most into.
Yeah.
So I came away from the weekend winning, but I lost the majority of my bets. I don't want to rub it in, but that's what happened.
Oh my gosh.
Trust me, it'll come back around.
Listen, I am a very responsible gambler, so I'm not tripping, right? Okay. I'm not complaining about, because it's not like it's not like I lost the house or anything,
right? But
man,
it can be frustrating.
Man, it's just some of the. I am gonna throw a honorable mention bet out there, right, for my weekend wagers. And weekend wagers don't always have to be bad bets, but man, the Arizona Cardinals, they suck, bro. Like, my gosh, bro. Like, Arizona.
Oh,
you know, I'm gonna get to that, and I'm gonna talk about Arizona in our next bet. But I also went with rushing yards for Kyler Murray. That was my weekend bets. I was looking for rush yards over unders on quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And I didn't hit not one of them. All right. So any more weekend wagers for you?
That was pretty much it for me. I summed it up.
What did you put your money on though?
LSU.
Oh, okay.
And that was a bit of a lucky break.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I guess you was on pins and needles that whole game.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to get too deep into it, but I care more about LSU winning than I do the money. So to be honest with you, when I was watching it, I wasn't even thinking about the bet, not for a minute.
That's a great way That's a great way to bet. I mean, I guess that takes a little bit of the stress off of you when it comes to your pockets, but
yeah.
Okay.
But yeah.
All right. So let's go ahead and move into our cold takes.
Okay.
Unfortunately for us last week, we didn't have anything to recap or go back on. So we just kind of like took mental notes of what we thought, what we wanted to say on the show, and now we're gonna go ahead and let you guys know about what we wanted to talk about in the show. So
for sure,
go ahead, Peyton. Any cold takes from last week?
So I didn't have any cold takes from last week, but I reached back from a few weeks ago.
Okay.
When I said that there were 2 0-3 teams in the NFL and I liked at least one of them to make the playoffs. Those being the Bengals and the Jaguars. That hasn't exactly panned out up until this point 3 weeks later. You know, the Jags sitting at 1-5. The Bengals are 2-4, so they've got a small window to get it done, but that's a bit of a cold take right there because the Jags have not performed at a level that would imply that they're getting anywhere close to making the playoffs. The Bengals, yes, but their record is still holding them back.
Yeah. And I think for me, I would have expected the streak to continue with Jacksonville winning in London. They got a bounce back week ahead of them because they play in London again.
Right.
But they were undefeated in London games prior to this past weekend. So we'll see what they can do. And that's another one of those teams that on paper they look pretty good. You know, they got one of the top rookies out there at receiver, and he's doing his thing. He's doing everything that he possibly can in order to help win games.
Yeah.
I think you are not getting much out of the run game.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
And I think that also boils down to the offensive line.
Yeah.
You know,
which on paper, like you said, they upgraded.
Right.
Maybe at times it hasn't formulated on the field.
Right.
So yeah, I would say they're not dead yet. They're close to it. They're hanging on by a thread, and they have a must-win coming up. But yeah, what are you smiling about over there?
I'm laughing at one of the comments, man. So if you're on Instagram right now, man, I am actively talking to you guys in the comment section. So please feel free to join the conversation. Yeah. And I wanted to say that before I got to my cold takes from the weekend.
Okay. Yeah.
But that's funny. Somebody on Instagram, Spanish Fly 1091 says, Jags, let that dream go, bro. Let that dream go.
Hey, I said almost dead and hanging on by a thread. So.
Let that dream go. Yeah. All right. So my cold take here is I thought Justin Herbert was a wash. It wasn't looking too good for them. But he showed improved on Sunday. And big ups to him. I didn't expect him to go out and ball the way that he did. And I thought it would be a better game than it was because I thought the D in Denver stood for defense, but obviously it stands for something else.
Yeah.
Who knows what it really means. And like I preluded to, this is not really a cold take, but Arizona sucks, man. Arizona is trash. My goodness. 45 total yards in the first half. I know some Pop Warner teams that'll blow that out the water.
It's crazy because they beat the Niners a week ago, but they did not show up against the Packers at all.
Man, I don't know what
we actually saw a good bit of that game.
Yes,
it wasn't competitive.
I was very frustrated.
Yeah,
Kyler Murray, I'm disappointed.
Yeah,
I'm disappointed. Now I thought Kyler Murray has to be better. I'm gonna just say that right there. Kyler Murray has to be better. But it doesn't help when James Conner goes out with an injury in the game. So. Yeah. So that's that. That's that. All right, let's move into our final segment.
For sure, man.
All right, we got cheers and jeers. This is where we give props or we give boos to teams from the weekend. So
you start us off with this.
All right. So I because I did so poorly this weekend with my wagers, I'm gonna go ahead and say cheers to everybody who won money this weekend. Congratulations to y'all. Yeah, big cheers to y'all, man. Congratulations to everybody who won money.
Enjoy it because you know how this thing works.
Yeah.
It's tough.
As far as my jeers go, jeers to the AP top 25. I think the college football playoffs have expanding to 12 teams has made the AP poll kind of irrelevant. And
that's a great point.
Yeah, so I don't know.
It doesn't matter at this point. You know, I feel like it's going to work itself out.
Yep.
There, to your point, there are weeks where I haven't even looked at the AP poll rankings because it's like, well, that team's going to play that team, and then we'll really know.
Yep. If the AP poll is irrelevant, you might as well stop sending that poll out to the coaches because they got other things to do.
Yeah.
So
good point.
Yeah, man. So cheers to the AP top 25.
Yeah. I'm going to go with cheers to the Giants and their loss to the Bengals last night.
Okay.
Similar to the Jets, they had ample opportunities to win that game. It felt like the Bengals were trying to give them the game.
Yeah.
That fumble by the running back in Giants territory, they couldn't pick it up, couldn't stop the run at the end of the game. I mean, it felt like the Giants. Man. To be honest with you, and I hate to say that, I have a close friend that's a Giants fan, but that was a tough watch for me. And then I'll let you go with the comment right after I say this. How about cheers to the Steelers, though?
Yeah.
They got back on track against the Raiders. I know the Raiders were starting Aiden O'Connell.
Yeah.
But they really blew them out of the water on that 2-game losing streak that they were on. I'm looking forward to the Steelers improving as the season goes on.
You know what's crazy? I have a cheers and jeers for one team, man.
Okay.
Cheers to the Detroit Lions. But also cheers to the Detroit Lions. It's not really a boo, but I do feel for them in their loss of Aiden Hutchinson. That moment right there alone was pretty scary, especially in a blowout win, and they were up big when he went down. But speedy recovery to Aiden Hutchinson, and but going back to the Steelers, man, I like where the Steelers are at. I have a lot of faith in Mike Tomlin as a head coach, and no wonder he's been able to sustain a job for so long because obviously the front office has a lot of faith in him as well.
Yeah.
And this doesn't have to be a conversation right now, but where's Russell Wilson, bro?
I don't know.
They don't need him. They don't need him right now.
I just see Justin Fields rushing for touchdowns.
Yeah, they don't need him right now. And man, I like Russell Wilson as a backup quarterback. It's kind of crazy to say a Super Bowl winner is a backup quarterback, but it happens. It happens. You know. And I know that Russell Wilson is in Justin Fields' ear and giving him as much guidance as possible because that's the type of guy he is. He's a great leader, you know, and he knows where to lead and how to lead no matter where he is. Yeah. Shout out to the Steelers. Shout out to everybody that's in the comment section, man.
Yeah.
If you're watching on YouTube, I do apologize. I'm in the comment section on Instagram, so please feel free to follow me on Instagram at digitalzeus_. Is digital ZEUS_ on Instagram. That's where the live is going down right now. When we get a little bit more followers on our main page at The Sportaholics, we'll be able to have our lives over there on that channel. But for right now, we're using my channel on Instagram in order to make sure we reach the masses.
For sure.
So for everybody who watched this right now, if you not subscribed to the YouTube channel at The Sportaholics, man, please feel free to go ahead and smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, leave a comment down below there as well, and let us know your thoughts on the show.
Yeah, and we take in all comments.
Yeah.
You know, like the guy that talked about me dreaming on the Jags. I mean, I get it. That was a cold take by me.
Yeah.
So I gotta stand by that and live by it. So.
Yeah, man. And by all means, we are fans of the sport, and not only fans of the sport, but we're fans of our teams, man. No matter how good or bad they're doing, we're gonna hold them down. You know how hurtful it is to say that I'm a Miami Dolphins fan right now, and you know, injuries got us in a spot where we're looking pretty bad. But by all means, hopefully that can change in the next couple of weeks. We got some promising news from Tua Tagovailoa, and honestly, he's gonna have to put one of those guardian caps on.
I hope he does.
The fact that he wasn't out there with a guardian cap on in the first place is crazy. We've seen defensive linemen, linebackers wearing the guardian cap, and I think that's a major move by the NFL as well, to have those guardian caps an option for players who care about their safety in a dangerous sport. So, yeah, man.
But yeah, thank you guys for all the support. Every time we come on here, we really do appreciate y'all.
Yeah. Hey, Peyton, that was a good show, bro.
For sure.
It feels really good to be back.
I was going to say, to get back into the flow of things, get our feet wet again, it felt good.
So with that being said, we're back tomorrow, man.
Yeah.
We're back tomorrow. So for those who don't know the schedule, man, we are here every Monday and Tuesday live on Instagram and YouTube at 7 p.m. sharp. And you can catch our podcast on Fridays at 7:30. All right. So tomorrow we got the full pour at 7 o'clock p.m. And then we have our podcast on Friday at 7:30. So thank you guys so much for tuning in with us. It's been a heck of a past week. But we were able to enjoy it a little bit with watching some sports and, just hanging out and getting back into the routine of everything. For those who are still recovering, prayers up to you guys. And man, we'll see you tomorrow at 7.
Yes, sir. Can't wait.
Beat us there. Don't meet us there.
There you go. I like that saying.
We out.
Do it. We out.
Let's go ahead and end the live.
Yeah. Good show, man.
Yeah, boy.